good morning or good wherever you are, whatever it might be. Um, Quick talk. Greys, to be honest. I think it's important to know that a lot of you have dreams, and you wake up and you think, well, what was that character in there, or there might be something, and sort of wondering what these characters are and what they mean. Sooner or later, you might catch them out because basically what's going on doesn't really add up. But I can't say that there's necessarily dark intentions. I mean, if there was for a group to take over, I think they've got their foot well in the door. And it would be quite easy, I think, either an overt or a covert method. But what's interesting in this dream last night is that there was groups of people. I may have interacted slightly with them, but in a dream situation, like I say, it sounds like almost like a holiday place or somewhere. There's a little bit. Just thinking back to the way it was laid out. It's definitely like a camp, the way it was laid out, and there was a nurse in it. And then later to the dream, closer to where I woke up, I was at a computer terminal. The computer was really old. It was like an older type of like a BBC type Amstrad or something, and I was typing stuff in, and it was all fine, and then it got to a point where I tried to type in someone else's name, and it said, I tried to type in someone called James something, Baldwin or something like that, and it went false. So I think I was trying to, I was trying to hack it. I was trying to find out some other information. I think what I should have done in that is put my own name in it. But when I did it, it went false information. The computer said. And then I looked to my right, and there was like where the doorway was sort of like behind me, to the right. The nurse was sort of like in the doorway, and then she quickly darted back as if she didn't want to be observed checking what I was doing. It was a bit weird. And I woke up and I looked over at the curtains, and my room seemed longer actually. It seemed really strange. I thought, where was I? Because it was longer. But I looked over towards the curtains, and then there was a dark outline of what would be a tall grey. So that'd be quite interesting. And it went into the cupboard. It just moved from left to right, and then went into my cupboard. So I was kind of like trying to do some sort of telepathy type thing. Think your intentions out loud in your mind, so they could be read. So I sort of warn them as well, like I'm planning to get up. I don't want them to think that I'm having an erratic fear to them or something like that. So yeah, it was sort of interesting experience. I got up and briefly had a drink, and then I just looked in the front room. I would love to actually to meet him, to meet one and just have a chat with, in some form or communication, and then it'd just be working towards that disclosure. You know, it doesn't have to be a giant leap forward. Just the fact that it exists. I think most people can deal with that. There's something out there. I think most people do believe that, because the chances of nothing else being out in space, and you know, even if it was a group here from Earth that in the past moved out there, it decimated this planet from a cosmic disaster or whatever, and we've rebuilt our civilization, but they've been up there ever since. Just basically with little resources, they've gone to another world and they've started cultivating there. So you could have a super advanced race of us that's already out there. So that's that kind of thinking. But I don't know why the greys, you can see them briefly in a sort of shadows, things like that moving around, like interdimensional. I was told that it's an ability they have, but maybe it's something they can't avoid. It could be that they're actually in some different dimension or universe even, and that they're trying to explore this one, trying to put the way through. The thing is, something wants to hide from you. Its intentions could be malicious, but it had every opportunity to scare the bejesus out of me if it wanted to. But it chose to try to avoid it being seen. A bit like the dream, it you know, it could have, if for some reason I didn't do this computer thing right, it could have tried to freak me out in some way. But it said it wanted to avoid being seen. So it's quite interesting. It's also interesting that they've taken interest in me. It makes you think, oh, I wonder what potentially special there. I mean, I do have this constant tinnitus stuff that goes on, and it's a lot more higher and frequent than it's ever been before. I also took colloidal copper yesterday. I brewed up a batch. I took a few sips of it. I didn't take loads of it. To be honest, I don't know if you could stomach having loads of it anyway. You're taking in quite a lot of a mineral direct. Yeah, so it's quite interesting. It's very interesting. It's kind of like I've got answers to things in my head already going on. Like I was just thinking about colloidal copper and maybe it was a better way to process it into food, and they'd be adding it to a plant that basically would convert it and turn it to fruit or something, and then you would actually have the copper from the soil would have gone up for the root system, and it'd be better finely processed by the plant into a finer compound for you to ingest, and so that's interesting. That thought come within less than a second, so that's really good. That it's there's some interesting things going on. So I guess the other thing I'm saying is that if you do have experiences that are a little bit out there, don't freak out. Just go with it. I mean, you've probably seen most things on TV, but when you're actually involved with something, you kind of the attitude change. But if they want to cause you harm, I think they could quite easily do that. They choose not to. Other activity I've noticed is you might hear things clank around in your property. So you're in bed. In the daytime, you never heard of a single thing. There's nothing moving around, and the temperature of the room is exactly the same. You go to bed and you hear things like rustling or moving, or like I had a fizzy drink bowl, so click, something, like it's like where it's the pressure's changed in it or something, or something's trodden out. I was thinking, what the hell's that? But I haven't reacted to it. Or inside your fridge, things won't move because I think these beings are actually just interacting with these objects to a degree. They try not to move them, but they're looking at them. I've had it where I had a sort of fold-up bike, and it was in the doorway. It's not too far from the doorway between me and the hallway leading out to my property, and it hasn't fallen over at all. And then it just, for years it's been almost standing there. I've just got to fold up, put it somewhere else. I guess find a new home for it. But it just fell over on its own. Nothing was around it. So it's almost like something bumped into it. Didn't notice my clutter was there and just walked straight to it. Especially if you are one of these tall type greys. The height was probably about 7 foot. It wasn't beyond the ceiling. So between 6 and 7 foot. So I don't know any more than that. They could change their physiology, the height slightly as well. So there's a lot of research that still needs to be done. I don't think we can run with it like, they're controlling the government, taking over the world and all these other things, because they don't actually know what they're doing. It seems like it's some more scientific research, and they're not directly helping us, otherwise they would just turn up in front of you. But they don't want to interfere with us, so there may be something there. And also they don't really have predatory instincts, like this thing standing by the curtain watching me. It might be perfect position with the light coming across my face and so on, but when I woke up his outline was there. You're better off in the shadows. But then he was using the cupboard to hide in, which he retreated in, so that's, and probably thought, well, he wouldn't have been able to see me anyway, he's just woken up. It's very weird though, because I woke up and looked straight at it. So it's one of these things that just don't add up. But I would be interested in other people's experiences. Often we get people that will run the religious side of things, which is great, but it just might be a little bit. It might overtake them exploring what it might be, or add into what they understand. Because I mean, what might be laid out in the Bible, or another type of religious book. I'm not picking on a particular Bible or anything like that. I mean, it's like if it was the Quran, they might say instantly that these are jinn. But they need to do that kind of initial research to go beyond that. And if they don't fit the paradigm of the jinn, then there's something else, and there's something else you could add to this book. Same for the Bible. I mean, if it ever got to a situation where I was asking them, go down the line of sort of spirituality and so on, I'd ask, have they had religion similar to humans and things like that, and you might find some different truths. And what they tell you, you don't have to necessarily accept as gospel, but I wouldn't sort of say, well, actually you're wrong, or I wouldn't sort of put them on one side of the fence, because they need to provide information. You've got to be as open-minded as they are about things, and you've got to be meeting them in the middle, relationship-wise. So, I mean, hopefully this turns into something a bit more intriguing. I'd love to actually get going on one of their ships or meet them in person, or some communication that would go beyond that. And like I say, the disclosure would be brilliant if I could actually convince one of them, if I could film you with me, and then I just document these different documentaries almost, and when they're okay, I would just release them, because what could happen is that I could have a sort of government clampdown. I wouldn't want that. I'd have to word it as, believe it or not, and then I just say as a disclaimer, you can choose to believe this or not. There's plenty of information out here. I'm saying it truthfully and honestly that these things are real, and this is what they told me, or this is from this interview, and then there's just some basic proof would be there, especially if one of them's in the room with me. So yeah, that's cool. Anyway, that's probably all I wanted to say at the moment. I just wanted to share that one with you, and speak to you soon.